So hello once again, my friends, and I'd like to welcome you to another video, and this is going to be the wrap-up video for the build of the U.S.S. Arizona. And this is the Revell model kit, the Pacific Fleet Battleship Memorial to the Tragedy of Pearl Harbor. So this was quite a long build. As we went along, I decided to do different ideas for the ship. We ended up lighting it up, as well as giving it sound effects, and I was inspired by the U.S.S. Massachusetts that we have here in New England. So let me talk to you guys a little bit about the kit. I'll show you what we did, and then we'll wrap up this video of the build. Okay, so again, we ended up doing the Revell kit. This is kind of something that I wanted to practice on and make sure that I didn't, that I wanted to treat her with respect, because I have the Trumpeter 1-200 version of this kit. And originally I had wanted to take away the tripods, and I wanted to build her the way she was when she was launched. She had these almost like cages, and there's a shot of her that she had the flag coming off when she was newly launched, and she just looked gorgeous, and I had wanted to do that originally. I couldn't find photo etch pieces for those sections, and I didn't want to just try to jumble them together because everything was different and around the structures and everything, and I wanted to pay homage to her. I didn't want to mess up the ship. So that being said, we had done it the way she was made. Incidentally, I had gotten the inspiration for this from one of the models that's actually at Pearl Harbor. So I had used that as an example to make this one. And I'll probably use that one for the 200 scale one as well. But because it was the 84th, I believe, the 84th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, I had wanted something to commemorate, because every year they do the memorial service at Pearl Harbor, and I had wanted something to commemorate that, as well as do something special for this model. So in addition to the lights, I ended up putting sound effects in. We put in the sound files that I had wanted to play, and the way it all boils down to, it's one of the ships that, the models that we're going to plug in, and it's got a button under the hull to activate the sounds, and we got the lights. So let's get into it. I just wanted to show you guys the model kit, the box that we had gotten, and this is the U.S.S. Arizona from Revell, and this is the 1/426 scale ship. So this is actually kit number 0302, and if you guys are curious what this kit comes with, I did a whole unboxing of the whole kit. So everything right down to the instructions is represented. This really wasn't a bad kit to put together, and considering the price for this kit, it's really a really good kit. There's a lot of detail. It's built solid. Again, for the price, because I think I paid $26 for mine, and you can get these at a really good price on eBay. And yeah, it's for the money. If you guys are looking for a representation of the Arizona, this is really a good kit. So that all being said, why don't we take a look now at what we did to the model. So I just want to point out that the model itself, it didn't really come with a base. It just came with these steel girder pieces that the ship rests on. So what I did was I went ahead and I painted them black, and you can see where the hull of the ship is going to rest. Okay, so you can see the way the ship looks when it's resting on the stand or the steel girders. So let's talk a little bit about the ship and herself and what we did to paint it. So one of the books that I used for reference was the U.S.S. Arizona, An Enduring Legacy of a Battleship, and I've done a review on this book if you're curious on what's in it. So in this book, this is where I first got the attention to use that model, and you can see how beautiful that is, and I just fell in love with that model. You can see tops, the tripods to the tops. You can see the sides of the superstructure coming down. You can see the guns, the main guns. So let's go over the paints that I used really quick, because I like the Vallejo and we use the paint gun. So the first thing we had to do was we had to do the decks. So I wanted to do the decks, and the way the model kit is, there's a lot of pieces that are molded into this deck because it's not very big. So what I did, I used the Vallejo, and this would be the deck tan. And what we did was, once we got the color, we got the paint, I ended up spray painting. Let's put this aside. Let me show you guys. So again, with this paint, once we established the color for the deck tan, what I did was I sprayed down the deck. All the sections that had decking. And once that was dry, I wanted to actually kind of weather it. So I thought about using a wash on the decks. But then I had seen in the comments this gentleman called Frankie Day. And he does models of the same thing. He does amazing work, by the way, because I had checked him out. He suggested to use like a pencil and make the decks look weathered in the section. Now think about why it makes sense. There are sections of the deck that appear more worn than the others, and that's because of all the foot traffic that would be in that area. And that makes sense. If you've ever been to a battleship, you can see the differences. The wood is not all uniform. So there are wear marks in the section. So I thought that was a really good idea. So that's what I had done. I had put the sections where it would be, where I thought would be the most heavily traveled, and I put a little bit of the pencil, rubbed it, and we kind of blended it in between the brush and an eraser. So it just kind of made that really good looking wood effect. Now I know there are a lot of people that are better modelers than I am, but the way I finished, the way I wanted it to look was I wanted it to look like wood. And to me it came out as a good representation of wood. Now that being said, all these little details were molded into the plastic. So it's not like you could paint them and then add them on later. So what we had to do was I had to use a small tiny brush and go in and hand paint all those little pieces that had to go onto the decks. So once that was done, actually I should point out to you guys one more thing. The Revell kit, they added two gun bins on the aft end of the ship that actually weren't installed on the ship. They were not there. So what I had to do was I had to sand them down and smooth out the deck area and then just remove them. I mean, I was going to leave the gun bin, the walls, but even in the photographs, they didn't have anything in those areas. So I decided to just totally remove everything and just use the paint once it was nice and smooth to cover it up, that you'd never know that they were there. Only because they weren't there, and the only way I could tell for sure was that I can see it in the books. So I should have pointed that out earlier. But that being said, there are two other gun bins that didn't have guns that are in the front on the either side of gun number 2. So you can see these guns are in, but they didn't install these yet. So that's why I had left them out. And it would have been a little harder to remove this and take out the gun bin walls. So that's why I didn't do it. So that being said, getting back to the little detail that we had to paint on, when I say everything was molded in, everything was molded in. Even these metal parts on the deck where the chain goes up against, even the chain itself is molded in the plastic, and it had to be painted by hand. So that was the decking. And again, that was the Vallejo, the deck tan. So once the decking was done, I had wanted to do the color of the ship itself. And for that, we're going to go back and I'm going to reference the model that I had seen in the book. So let me gently put her back down. And again, getting back to the book that we used. I used a couple of books, but the model was in this book. So getting back to the model. Another model of the Arizona on display at the Visitor Center in Pearl Harbor. And you can see the job that they had done with the chains and the cowls, the bollards, everything around on the deck. You see the guns, they're painted. They got the blast bags, and I had done some research, and the blast bags were white at the time period, and then it had the blue, and then at the top it had the white to make it more difficult to be spotted on the horizon. But when we look at the model and we look at the colors that I used, the model decking is a little bit darker than the model that I have. So that's the only difference between the model, and of course whoever built this model did a fantastic job. But getting back to the color now, there are a lot of colors where she was like a battleship gray, but again the model had like a blue tint to it. This is the light blue. This is actually the Mediterranean blue, and I thought the Mediterranean blue was the perfect color to match up with against the model of the battleship. You can see the model, the color of the blue on the model, and I think it's just about spot on. So I was very happy with that blue. Again, this is the Vallejo. So let me bring her up to you. So when it came to doing the hull, I had wanted to, the hull really didn't have any issues going together. It went together relatively well. You can see I used clamps on it to make sure that there were no gaps right down to the front. You can see, if you notice, that one side has two anchors. That would be your starboard side. And the port side has one anchor. And what I probably should have done was I probably should have drilled out the bullnose. When you look at the ship head on, you can see the bullnose. I probably should have either darkened it out. You know, I might darken it out to make it look like it's open. The same thing with the hull, with the hole on the side. As you can tell, if you run into the problem, you don't know which one has the anchor or not. If you look at the top, you can see the chain that's going to go down and lead to this anchor. So that way there you can tell there's no anchor chain, so there's no anchor in this port. So you can see the bilge keel on the side, and what I wanted to do as well is I wanted to light the windows as well as lighting up the superstructure and the guns. You see the railing. I was going to put a wash on the railing, but then I figured I'm not really good at that because I've never done a wash yet, and I wanted a little bit of time to practice before actually doing it, so that's why I left it the same color as the rest. The only detail is you can see the little life preserver. Let's see, I know there's another one. Oh, here it is, going aft and going all the way back to the Arizona name. Now, looking at the bottom of the hull, when it came to doing the rudder wasn't a big deal. She's got one rudder, and that's going to be red. So they had little sections that we had to put on for the shafts, for the propellers, as well as the propellers themselves. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to make them look realistic as possible, so they were made out of metal, so that's why I put them shiny. And then we have the little sections that come off that hold the shafts in place, and then finally we have the propellers at the end. So those are the propellers, the rudder, and the other thing we had to do is we had to put little things onto the deck themselves, like the little staircases. Of course, when the boat would dock, They would be able to go down and access the boats. Speaking of the boats, you can see the boats that we had done, one on port and starboard by gun 3. And then you can see the way they had stacked them up in the center of the ship. Incidentally, when we did the guns, I didn't glue them in place because I wanted them to be mobile still. So you can see we can actually still turn the guns. And that way there, when she's at peace or at rest, they go to the side. And it's like that on both sides. And again, we have the light preserver midship, and then when going aft, then it comes to the superstructure. Actually, getting back to the hull. So what I did was I painted the hull black because that was the primer. Once that was done, I masked off a section where we were going to be doing the red from below the waterline. So we painted that red, and I used the Revell, and this is the hull red. Visceral. I've seen it referred to as gory red, and the hull red is as well, and it ended up doing a nice job for the coloring. So the paints we used the decking from Vallejo. We used the Mediterranean blue for the hull and the blood red for below the waterline. One of the things also was I put the primer over the entire hull, because once we had started to put the paint, I wanted it to be a little darker to keep it in scale. If it all would have been bright red, it would have looked more like a toy than a ship, than an actual model. So once the hull was painted, we had gone back, and now I have to wonder what we're going to do to power the ship. So I thought about using batteries. And I'm like, well, we could use batteries, but then there's always the problem of having a battery pack somewhere, and when I closed in the hull, I wanted to seal it in where we wouldn't have to go back into it. So that's when I decided we put the electronics in. I had used the circuit board, and we put the sound effects on, and I had put the lighting for the portholes. Again, I didn't want it to be super bright because it would look really fake. So you really have to look to see the lights in the portholes. And then I had done the lights on the decking, the red, the white, and the blue, to honor the U.S.S. Massachusetts. And I think that it was a good memorial to the Arizona as well. So once all that was done, we had to connect that and then start putting the deck plates into place and actually gluing it to the hull and sealing it in. Now, I didn't go with batteries. Let me move this for a minute and I'll show you what I did. And I should have put this in the back of the ship instead of forward, because it's just inconvenient. But I did it where we're going to plug it in, and we'll do the sound effects. And I'll plug it in a minute. So once that was in place, I decided I had to put something for the switch, because when you plug it in, the lights come on right away, but you have to activate the sound effects. And if we flip her over, you can see right over here is the button. And I couldn't do a lot with that because of the size of the button. So I had drilled a hole, ran the wire through, and a little alligator clip goes up, and that's what activates the button. So that was on the bottom. And again, I ran the power cord from the wrong end because I had done the ship from the other side, and I was thinking that this was the aft end, but my error led to the power supply being in the front of the ship as opposed to the back. So once all the plates were done, the hull was sealed. Then I had to start to think about painting and doing all of the superstructures. Incidentally, the guns, I should point out that I left the guns rotatable. There's this little cap that goes in on the bottom of the guns where you can actually keep them free to move. So with the guns, the model kit itself didn't come with blast bags. So what I did to solve that problem was when I painted the guns, I masked off the section because they have the red tops. But I also wanted the blast bags like the model had featured. So what I did was I took a little bit of the putty. Matter of fact, I had used the Tamiya, the epoxy putty. And what you do is you have some of the putty and some of the activator, and you blend it together. And what I did was I put it in between the guns, and I formed the blast bags. Once they were dry, then I ended up painting them white. And I think the blast bags came out decent. Again, with my modeling skills, there are a lot of better people out there, but I think it still kind of looks respectable. So that was the guns and the blast bags, and of course one of the catapults had gone on to the top of gun 3, and I'll get to that in a minute. So the superstructure, we've got the rangefinder, we have the smokestack, we got the cranes now for the boats. And getting to the boats, you can see how they go in. I made them the same color as the ship's hull. And you can see the little areas that are in tan because they're actual decking. And the same thing with these yachts. They have the decking as well as the cabins, and I don't know if you'll be able to see the windows. So once that was all in place, then it came down to doing the catapult planes. Now these are really tiny. These little, I think they're Kingfisher planes, and one of them is a catapult on gun number 3, and then they have the catapult at the back of the ship. Now they had the model was a time period much earlier where it had the, and I'm not quite sure what they are, they had the double wings. So I had to modify those. We didn't use the double wings, obviously, to make them look more like the Kingfisher planes. And they didn't have decals for the stars. So that mess you see on them was my attempt at doing the stars, and I know it came out terrible. It was just so small. I had nothing nothing I had with a point that fine where I was able to do it. The only decals now, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, is underneath each wing. It says the word Navy. So hopefully you guys can see that. That was the only decals that went on the plane. So then what I had done was I had just put the planes, glued them to the catapults, and then glued them to the back of the ship. So that basically covers everything on the ship that I had done, and that'll lead us up to the rigging. Now I'm still new at rigging. And the model actually, the instructions actually have rigging that they show. So what I did was I followed the instructions. I didn't overdo it on the rigging. I only did what I knew was there. And on the sides, they have these, the rigging on the sides that hold the flags, the call flags. So I had done those, and then I had put the flags on. We got the American flag in the back. And once that was done, basically the ship was done. Incidentally, I put the flag on the front. You can see it only has the stars. So that all being said, now let's go ahead and I want to light her up for you guys. So let's put her back on the stands. And the way it gets plugged in, it's a USB cable. So as soon as we plug it in, you can see how she lights up. So again, let me bring her back to you. So getting back to the U.S.S. Massachusetts, the first time I seen her light up like that, I think it was for the 4th of July. I actually thought she was gorgeous. She was absolutely beautiful. And they do it for Memorial Day, and they do it for different holidays to honor the military, and I think it just looks fantastic. So I decided to do this to the Arizona to honor her and her crew as well. So the backs, I did red, and there's one light that I ran the SMDs underneath either side of the gun, and then we do the white lights, so you can see the white ones, and then again we put 6 on the superstructure on either side, and then we did the blue again either side on the guns. So I think the red, white, and blue has a nice effect. And then finally you can see the lights that are lighting up the hull. See, one of the problems that I was running into is because it's not supposed to twinkle like that. See how it's twinkling? That's a dead giveaway that it's a model. I thought that I had some of the window creator, but it had dried out and I wasn't able to use it. And I actually, to be honest, I forgot about it. But that'll be the one thing I do in addition to blacking in the holes, is I'll put the glass builder and I'll put it on the portholes. That way there you won't get this twinkling effect, and it'll look a little more realistic. So, okay, we got the ship painted, built, the hull is sealed, we have all the electronic components in place. So the last thing I want to do is I want to share the sound effects with you. So we flip it over, you can see the little button. When we push the button, alright, so I shut the fan off so you'll be able to hear it. So the sound effects are the military honors, the 21 gun salute, or the firing salute, and then they have taps, then they have the opening remarks of this year's anniversary ceremony, and then finally we have the president that's going to declare war on Japan. So the fan is off, so you'll be able to hear it a little better this time. So let's push the button.
The theme of this 84th anniversary ceremony is Building Pathways to Peace. With this commemoration, we recognize the importance of remembering the moment in the past when the prospects for peace were shattered and our nation was plunged into global war, while looking forward with gratitude, optimism, and determination to recognize and embrace the opportunities to establish and cultivate a brighter future. This annual ceremony serves as a moment of reflection and gratitude, but also as a call to action. It's a reminder to build on the solid foundation left by the greatest generation, adapting to new challenges with the same fortitude and commitment. And as we honor the past, we look ahead, ensuring that the lessons of history continue to guide us in creating a future that upholds the values of courage, resilience, and peace.
Vice President, Mr. Speaker, members of the Senate, of the House of Representatives, yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
And there you have it. Those are the sound effects. We've got the lighting. I'll take you off the tripod for one last time and we'll take a look. Put her back onto the base. So taking a look at her now, you can see, all in all, I think this kit, very, very well made. Easy to put together. And if you guys are looking for a representation of the U.S.S. Arizona that you're going to like, quite frankly, this kit is really worth the money. So I had also gotten the U.S.S. Missouri, and I had wanted to do something special for her because that was where the Japanese signed the surrendering papers. And I wanted to do something special for her as well. So I learned a lot from doing the U.S.S. Arizona. All of the little extras that we had put on with the lighting and the sound effects. So my friends, I hope you enjoyed the build series. I hope you had as much fun going along and building it with me as I had making it. One of the things I like to make or include in my channel is I like to show you guys all the mistakes that I make, as well as showing you the solutions that I've come up with. So if you guys run into the same problems, you can see where I had similar problems and how I issued them or resolved them, per se. That way there, I'm not just showing a finished model and telling you guys what I did. That's why the video series was long, because I like to go as we go along step by step and explain to you what I'm doing. Not because I'm a great model maker, just because, you know, I'm Joe Average. Just like a lot of you that are new to model building, you may run into issues and not quite know what to do. So, my friends, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for the kind words. And thank you for watching this series. And until my next video, thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.